if you don't know how to use this already, I'd like to show you how to use two very often used built-in functions in Excel, and those are average and sum for a range of cells. They're just so easy to use and very powerful for communicating and discovering results very quickly. And sum and average in Excel. And so to very simply, how to sum and or average a block of values. And in Excel speak, we call that a range of values, like some block of cells. Okay. And this is going to be example one, the example one tab in the basic math.xlsx file that you can get online. And so if you can download the basic math Excel file, you can possess this Excel file as well as the little solution that I provide there in example one. You say, well, how can I download this basic math Excel file? Just go to my website, jstoolbox.vt.domains. Okay, navigate to the toolbox menu, drop down to find XLS Docs. That's a compilation of categories, okay? And you'll go in, that's Excel documents. And once you browse through that page of Excel documents, you'll find basic Excel functions and examples. Click the download button and you'll possess that Excel file. And you can goof around with it as you like. And so here's the example problem. I got to tell you, it's one that probably you will encounter or have encountered before, and maybe you've solved it in Excel. And so someone has provided you with the monthly fuel bills for a completed year, let's say last year. Okay, and so the question is, what is the annual fuel cost for the 12 monthly bills that have been logged, and what's the average monthly cost? And so I'm going to show you how to quickly answer both of those questions and then share the result with others if you choose to do so, rather than just giving them some bottom line numbers. Okay, and there's my prompt to share screen. So let's see if I remember how to do this. I'm going to escape out of PowerPoint. And here I am in Excel. And so the chances are in this day and age, you will have received, let's say maybe by email or some type of tabular information, either maybe from a month-end summary of your bills. In one column, you've got the month names, and another column, you've got the monthly bills. Okay, and so let's see how do we? And what we're trying to do is get the total annual cost and the average monthly cost. So I've clicked. I'm going to quickly jump, and so here's where we're seeking. Notice here I've turned off the little grid lines in Excel. Let me show you how to turn those back on. I'm going to go to View. And let's see, grid lines. View. And let's see. Here it is, grid lines up here in the top. Grid lines. Just turn the grid lines back on. So you can turn those on and off if you wish. So what we're looking for, total annual cost. I'd like my answer to jump out from those grid lines. So I'm going to go to Home, and I'm going to drop down my little bordering tool and click All Borders, and that makes a border appear there in that cell. And let's see, average monthly cost. I'm going to turn on, okay, so there's that. Oh, another thing that I'm reminding myself to remind you of, column headings. Notice here how when you, let's say, copy and paste the months and these values into Excel, it's always good practice to label your columns. You don't have to. It's generally good practice. There's column headings. Currency format. Let's click on one of these monthly values. Let's click on April's. Notice here up in cell B9, the number 279.52 is really the numerical value. But on the screen, I'm seeing a $ sign in front of it. That is one of those numerical formats. And so for example, if you've copied and pasted numbers in for this problem, and you want to be very clear, look, these are dollars. What you can do is you can light up your entire range, click on number format, okay, click on number format, and currency, and 2 decimal places to the right, that'll include pennies, and click OK. And there you are. Now, in a lot of cases, a lot of accountants nowadays, they don't even mess with pennies. Now, I do because it's my money, but some accountants don't even mess with pennies. You can go back to your number formatting and erase your pennies by 0 decimal places. Okay, and so there you are, just in even dollar amounts. Well, let's go back. Let's not do that. Let's go ahead and worry about dollars and cents. Go back to number and to dollars and cents. All right. Well, what's our problem at hand? It says determine the annual fuel cost. A really neat built-in Excel function is sum, the sum of a range. So let me show you how to do this. I'm going to click in this cell, and I'm going to start typing a formula. I'll start by hitting the equal sign, equals, and then just type out sum, S-U-M, in parentheses, and then you light up the range. You highlight the range that you want to sum. So I'm going to go up here with my mouse, or however you do it, your touchpad, and select that. Notice how Excel is so smart. It says, I recognize that you just highlighted the range B16 to B17. So that's a range. Now you can hit enter and it'll automatically close the parentheses and enter it. Okay. Or close your parentheses, whichever you wish, and hit enter. And just like that, here is the sum. Let's look at our formula. Okay, cell B19 equals sum B6 through, that's colon, through B17. Just like that, there's the sum. So you don't have to do equals that plus that plus that plus that. Just sum, and you select the range. Similarly, and now you don't even, so you might say, oh, I know how to get the monthly average. I'll just divide that total number by 12. You don't even, you could, but you don't even have to. Let's go to average monthly cost. Another formula is going to be the built-in formula called average. So we're going to hit equals. We're creating a formula, equals average. Just type out the word average. Parentheses. Define your range with your mouse, your touchpad. And this time I'm just going to hit enter, and it'll close the parentheses and off it goes. So the average monthly cost is $250.79. So there's some value there for if you're budgeting for next year. You're going to budget for an average of $251 per month, and you're going to expect your bill to be $3,000 and change. Okay, pretty cool. Okay. Use border box. We covered that. Dynamic math update. So let's say somebody was giving you this information and they gave you that and you did your work, and then somehow you got a phone call and said, whoever gave you that said, oh, I made a mistake when I entered that number for October. It's not $150.77. It's $159. And so you could go in. So try to remember these numbers, 3009 and 250. I'm going to put in a 9. I'm going to edit my number, 159.77. And notice here, as soon as you update your number, the mathematics is updated for you. So that is a very powerful part of Excel as well. So recognize that all of the formulas in Excel, unless you turn calculation off, that's a whole different ball of wax. Don't worry about that. Dynamically, all the math is updated when you change a number in that range you're trying to average or sum or do the math on. I'm going to hit undo. I'm going to hit undo my change. So I just undid that typing that I did. and we're back to 3,009 and an average monthly cost of 250.79. Not bad. And so as I was preparing to give this little presentation, I thought, I can add a little value to this. And so I created another tab. Let's say, so here's what we did. And we'll say, well, that assignment that we got, that was from 2 years ago. And then somebody has, or you have said, that data was from 2 years ago. And I've just obtained last year's data and I've copied and pasted it into my file. And I want to compare the total annual cost and then compare the average monthly cost for those 2 years. How will I do that? Notice here I've added another column heading. Okay, last year changed fuel cost to 2 years ago. I could call it fuel cost, but anyway, you get the idea. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. First thing I'm going to do is move my little description of what these results are one column to the right, simply by selecting them and dragging them. The next thing is a very neat feature of Excel, and that is that you can drag a formula. Once you've created a formula, you can drag it, and it's so smart, it will sort of modify the formula to suit what it thinks you want to do. So I'm going to drag this formula. So notice here the formula in cell B19, sum of B6 through B17. And what I want it to do is I want it to be the sum of C6 through C17. I'm going to drag it. What went wrong? I've got pound, 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 pound. I know, I need to increase the column width to be able to visualize. There it is. Okay. So all of a sudden my annual cost grew. So this copy and paste, that's worth something to me. My cost went up. Wow. And so let's look at the formula. The formula in cell C19, I drug the formula from B over to C, and it was smart enough to change the range to C6 to C17. Let's do the same thing with the average monthly cost. I'm going to click it. I'm going to drag the cell to the right. That formula is automatically updated or modified. You want to check to be sure that Excel is reading your mind correctly. Okay. In this case, it did. Okay. And there you go. Now let's see. I thought of one more thing. I wish there were folks online to say, is that pretty clear? Do I need to repeat what I did? Let's say that that's pretty clear, and that if you've downloaded basicmath.xls, you can practice this on your own. I thought of another thing to show you. What if I drug this formula down one row? What would be the result if I drug this formula down one? Let's just explore and see what happened. I've got a different number. So something went wrong. That is not the average of those 12 values. Let's troubleshoot a little bit. Let's look at, when I drug the formula down one, Excel was trying to read my mind. And so what it did was it changed the formula from, originally it was the average of C6 to C17. What it did was it jumped the row down one. So what I wanted it to be was C6 to C17. What it did was gave me C7 to C18. And so do you see what it's doing is it's averaging these 11 numbers. It's going to average 11 numbers. It will kick out this empty cell. Excel will not treat that as a 0, okay? But all it's going to do is average 11 numbers, 7 through, well, basically 17, but it's trying to average those 12, okay? And that's why it gives you a different result. So this is incorrect. What I'll do is, so I need to not leave that in my file, so I'm going to hit delete, okay? And then remember, let's see, I'm going to hit, I've made some good updates on my file. I'll hit File Save, and I can use this to refer to the rest of the year. I can report to somebody else, hey, my fuel cost went up. One other idea before I log out here, okay? How would we calculate? So I've got another idea. Let's put a box here and call it, what we're trying to do is the percent increase, as you can see that the total cost is higher, percent increase using 2 years ago as a baseline. So I need to type that out. We're going to use, so our baseline value is going to be this value. Okay. So what would percent increase? How would we create the percent increase? It'll be a formula. It's going to be the change in the annual cost. It'll be this number minus this number, whatever that is, divided by the baseline value, which is this number. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to click in the cell I want to create the formula in. I'm going to start typing equals parentheses this number, last year's number, minus 2 year ago number, there. I've got to close my parentheses, divided by the baseline value, which is C19, and hit enter. Okay, and it is 0.09317. Okay, that's not very effective. You know what that is, isn't it? It's 9.3% increase. So you know what's going on, but maybe some others who are looking at your work or reviewing your work, if you're reporting this to your family, you're either in an apartment or a home, reporting this to a family. Let's change the format. We're going to keep the formula just the way it is. Let's go to number format. And this time we want to report the number format as a percentage. And let's make one decimal place to the right, just to kind of keep it simple, and then OK. So now we've got something that's really a good looking report. It says, and let's see, let me make this bigger. There we go, 9, 10. Okay. I just made that a bigger font. Okay. So a 9.3% increase using 2 years ago as the baseline. Okay. So that's another little bit. So we used another formula with some common sense where we know how to create a percent increase from something to something using the initial value as the baseline value. And I did it again. I got to go back to share. I've got to get back to PowerPoint here. So let's see what we did. Okay, these are little prompts, and to be sure I did everything okay. Boxing, so recognize that boxing really helps, especially when you've turned the grid lines off. You see that turning the grid lines off really helps dress up your sheet if you're kind of finished doing the work. Okay. And here's our takeaways. We've just talked about 2 really handy, built-in, very often used Excel formulas. Equals sum, range of cells, and equals average, range of cells. Covered that whenever you change one of those numbers that you're summing or averaging, the math is dynamically updated. When you change a number, the math is updated. And then the other thing is just a reminder, label your work for effectiveness. What did I do to add value? I had column headings. I boxed out some of the key things that I wanted to highlight. And I also labeled what those boxes were. I didn't just have a box and sum it and didn't say what it was. You can simplify simply by saying total, or maybe a monthly. I think monthly average is pretty good. Just the word average, maybe not quite as good, but I think you get the idea. So there you go, a very quick tutorial about using sum and average in Excel, and hopefully some reminders about trying to be as effective as you can when you're solving problems in Excel so that you can share your work with others.